What's happening, friendos? Welcome back to the Tropical Garage. My name's Troy, and for the first time on the channel, we're going to be doing a complete teardown and rescape on a vivarium that's been in desperate need of being redone. So relax, grab a drink, and let's watch this transformation take place. So as you guys can see, this vivarium just looks pretty whack. So I guess there's really nothing left to do but strip it back down to its default state. Now I'm going to talk about the background technique I used in this vivarium. The cork panel technique has been around for a very long time, and it consists of compressed cork panels siliconed onto the background. The technique has been modernized by carving the cork so that it actually has a more naturalistic texture. And I was actually inspired by an Instagrammer that goes by the name of A Bunch of Tanks. They actually carved the cork with a screwdriver to give it the texture and blend the panels together. To me, that method looked really good, but it took way more time than needed. So I decided to give my favorite method of carving foam with the drill and wire wheel a try on the cork panels. After the background is carved, it's time to start the actual design aspect of the hardscape. In this scape, I used ghost wood, and I arranged it in a way that I think works well as far as aesthetically speaking, and also with several perches and walking areas for the large obligates. Side note, I'm using the multi-purpose black Great Stuff expanding foam to lock the wood pieces in place. Also a side note, my memory card messed up and I actually wasn't able to include how I carved the foam and how I covered it, so I'll just explain it briefly. I actually didn't carve any of it. After about 10 minutes or so of it curing, it loses its stickiness and you're able to just compress it into itself. So that's simply what I did. And to cover it, well, that's also very simple. You cover the foam in an aquarium grade or animal safe silicone. You can use clear or black. It doesn't really matter as long as you've used the black foam. Then you just sprinkle the cork shavings from when you carved it. So, final note, don't throw out the cork shavings. Save them. As for the plants I used in this build, well, it's nothing out of the ordinary from my other builds. I always try to use various shingling vines, mainly peperomias, philodendrons, and margravias. I usually place them at several different levels on the background, and I use a toothpick to pin them up. They tend to do better starting out on top of some damp moss, whether that be sphagnum or tropical moss. I usually try to have a few medium-sized leaf plants as well, usually from the philodendron or anthurium genus. For these, I take a small amount of sphagnum moss and I wrap it around the base of the cutting where the roots are, and once again, I use toothpicks to pin them up on the background. I very rarely actually plant anything into the ground area. I also included a few different miniature orchids and several different epiphytic ferns from the microgramma genus. Then, of course, we have the beloved low-growing tropical moss and Ricardia liverwort. I'm sorry, I do not know the actual species name of the moss. I always try to use a few naturalistic accent pieces, such as monkey and other various seed pods. And the leaves I used in this one were live oak and kapuatsu. And since this tank is going to be housing Ufaga, I'm going to add a few Neoregilia Malibu to the scape. Now, a couple side notes. I try my hardest not to go nuts on the initial stocking of the plants because I try to keep in mind how much the tank's actually going to grow in the next few months. I think one of the most common mistakes when people stock a tank is overplanting. And not only that, but overplanting it with fast-growing plants. The combination leaves the owner with a cluttered mess that they're constantly trimming.